Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the elect of Israel. To you I say Shalom. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying to the flock of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai. Excuse me, Salakia. It Lord willing, this lesson is edifying, and I can run through it quickly. But this is just gonna be a quick breakdown of Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10. Right? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 and verse 1. She preserved the first form father of the world that was created alone and brought him out of his fall and gave him power to rule all things. All right. So, and this chapter really breaks down Genesis and Exodus in a couple of verses, man. So there's a lot of information in these couple of verses, and it jumps around a lot too. So, Salakia. So right now, it's talking about Adam, right? The first formed father of the world that was created alone and brought him out of his fall and gave him power to rule all things, right? Adam was really the first ruler of the earth, man, right? And, if you could receive it, that goes back to Yahweh Shai, man. Yahweh Shai was a king in his, Yahweh Shai was a king in his first life, man, right? And he's going to be an eternal king in his last life, man. And Adam was given dominion over the beasts in the air, the fowl, right? Naming them, right? The all Adam lived eastward of Eden, but he was really given dominion over the whole earth, man, and gave him power to rule all things, right? Verse 3. But when the righteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother. Right. So right now, this is no longer talking about Adam. All right. This is talking about Cain. Right. So let me jump over to the book of Genesis, chapter 4. And Lord willing, I get through this quickly. Genesis 4, starting from the top. And Adam knew his wife, Salakia, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. Right? So Adam knew his wife, meaning they had sex, and she conceived. That's why, when the scripture's talking about a man knowing a woman, it's talking about sex, man. All right. Adam knew his Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. And in the process of time, it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord, and Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof, and the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. Right. In the spiritual, how you have the righteous, the two brothers, one righteous and one not righteous, Cain and Abel, which through the spirit represents Esau and Jacob, right? And it's also through the spirit that the righteous one was a keeper of the sheep. It's like Yahweh Shai always talked about feeding his sheep, right? King David was a keeper of the sheep, man. A lot of men of the Lord tended the flock, man. And that's what we ought to do even in this time, man. We got to keep the sheep and tend to the flock, man. All right? This is why, you know, I start the lessons by, and a lot of brothers do this too, by saying hopefully this lesson is edifying to the flock of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. And the true flock of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai consists of the elect, man. All right? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10. Oh, Slakia. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 and 3. But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, he perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother. All right? And now her is talking about wisdom. Right? If you go into Wisdom of Solomon chapter 7, it describes wisdom as a woman. All right? As a feminine spirit, man. All right? Not like a feminine spirit, but like, you know, if the Most High is our Father, then wisdom will be our mother, man. All right. Genesis 4 and 6. And the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. All right. If you do well, the Lord is going to be pleased with you, man. But if you err, the Lord is going to be displeased, man. Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against his brother and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond thou shalt be in the earth. All right. All right. That's Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 verse 3. But when the unrighteous went away from her in his anger, right, went away from wisdom, and it was unwise to give an unrighteous sacrifice unto the Lord, man. He perished also in the fury wherewith he murdered his brother. Right. He was judged because he murdered his brother, man. So he perished also in the fury where he murders his brother. Right? Verse 4. For whose cause the earth being drowned with the flood, wisdom again preserved it, and directed the course of the righteous in a piece of wood of small value. Right? Now this is jumping over to Noah now, man. You know how because of the wickedness of the earth, this place was drowned with a flood. But because of the wisdom of Noah and taking heed to the warning of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, he built that ark using gopher wood, man. All right. Now this is about to jump again, man. Verse 5. Moreover, the nations in that wicked conspiracy being confounded, she found out the righteous and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against his tender compassion toward his son. All right. So now this jump from Noah to now Abraham. All right. And that the nations in that wicked conspiracy being confounded. If we jump over to Genesis, all right, this whole thing is really a breakdown of Genesis and Exodus, man. Let's jump over to Genesis chapter 11. Genesis 11, starting from the top. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded, right? Children of men being the heathen. It's really, if you go into Psalms 83, this is, again, the nations being confederate with one another, man. All right. Verse 6, and the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. All right, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10. And 5, moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy being confounded. Confounded was when the Lord took away that one language and confounded their language. She found out the righteous, all right? Again, she being wisdom, and the righteous being Abraham, and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against the tender compassion toward his son. Right? Because if you go into, in that verse alone, it jumped, man. So if you go into Genesis chapter 22, all right? Now, Genesis 22, starting from the top, I'm going to read this quick. And it came to pass after these things that the Most High did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell of thee. All right, so Wisdom of Solomon 10:5 again. She, moreover, the nations in the wicked conspiracy being confounded, she found out the righteous and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against the tender compassion towards the son. So now, if you continue reading on in Genesis 22, Abraham was really one stroke away from, sacrificing Isaac, man. The Lord had intervened when Isaac was placed on the altar. He intervened and, made a ram appear, like a ram was stuck, I believe, Genesis 22:6. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they both went up, and they both of them went together, together. And Isaac spake unto Abraham his father and said, My father. He said, Here I am, my son. And he said, Behold, the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering? And Abraham said, My son, the Most High will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. Right? Now, Abraham knew that he was getting ready to sacrifice his son, but he couldn't tell him that right then and there, because the son would have took off, right? So through the Spirit, he prophesied, right? Even though a lamb wasn't provided, but the Lord did provide an animal to be sacrificed in place of Isaac. All right, verse 9, and they came to the place which the Most High have told them of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. One motion away, man. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I knowest that thou fearest the Most High, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. All right? Because Abraham understood, you really don't receive anything unless it's given to you by the Most High. So that really isn't your son, right? Your children aren't your children. Everything in this on that you own, that you possess, truly belongs to the Lord, and He could take it back whenever He pleases, man. All right, but Lord willing, we stay in the Spirit and stay in the faith, and the Lord won't put that burden upon you, man. All right, by losing things as precious to you, but everything happens for a reason, man. Romans 8 talks about how everything that happens is really for the good of everything, man. Actually, let me just get that before I butcher it. Romans 8:28, and we know that all things work together for good according to them that love the Most High, to them who are the called according to His purpose. All things work together for His good. So when you're going through hard times and rough times, it's really working toward your good, man. All right. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 and the end of verse 5, and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against the tender compassion towards his son. All right. Right. Verse 6, again, another jump. When the ungodly perished, she delivered the righteous man who fled from the fire which fell down upon the 5 cities. Right. And this is talking about Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah, man. All right. Again, this actually jumps back to Genesis chapter 19. I'm gonna go straight to the point. Genesis 19 and 24. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Right? His wife was attached to that society, man. All right, verse 7, of whose wickedness even to this day, Salakia, Wisdom of Solomon 10, verse 7, of whose wickedness even to this day, the wasteland that smoketh is a testimony, and the plants bearing fruit that never come to ripeness, and the standing pillar of salt is a monument of an unbelieving soul. All right, talking about Lot's wife, man. Scripture says that, man. Remember Lot's wife, man. But let's jump to Second Esdras, chapter 2, starting at verse 8. Woe be unto thee, Assur, thou that hidest the unrighteousness in thee. O thou wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Gomorrah, whose land lieth in clouds of pitch and heaps of ashes. Even so will I do unto them that hear me not, saith the Almighty Lord, man. Right? And then Jude talks about Sodom and Gomorrah, man. And that eternal fire, man, that burned that place, man. All right? Even to this day, it's a testimony of, how not to live, man. Right? But it's also a testimony of what's going to happen to this place, man. The modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, man. All right? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 8. For not regarding wisdom, they gat not only this hurt, that they knew not the things which were good, but also left behind them to the world a memorial of their foolishness, so that in the things wherein they offended, they could not so much be hid. But wisdom delivered from pain those that attended upon her. All right, so let's jump to the book of Jude. Jude 1 and 7, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire, man. Right. The same thing that happened in the past, the same thing's going to happen in the future. Right? Sodom and Gomorrah is going to burn again, man. All right, and that's not talking about the ancient Sodom and Gomorrah. That's talking about the modern day Sodom and Gomorrah, which is known as the land of America, man. All right. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 10. When the righteous fled from his brother's wrath, she guided him in right paths, showed him the kingdom of the Most High, and gave him knowledge of holy things, made him rich in his travels, and multiplied the fruits of his labors. In the covetousness of such as oppressed him, she stood by him and made him rich, right? And this is talking about Jacob, right? We jump to Genesis. Now it's always good to Wisdom of Solomon comes in clutch when you want to precept the actual account, but it's actually good. It's actually better to know the account and read it, so you understand and hear about the miracles and testimonies that took place. It's not like a summary. It's more you actually you can actually envision it as you read it, man. But really, Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 10 goes into Jacob's dream, starting at Genesis 28 and 10, man. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to continue on. Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 11. And the covetousness of such as oppressed him, she stood by him and made him rich. She defended him from his enemies and kept him safe from those that lay in wait. And in a sore conflict, she gave him the victory, that he might know that goodness is stronger than all. And that sore conflict is talking about when Jacob wrestled the angel, man. Right? And the angel hollowed out his thigh. So, that was the sore conflict. But, Jacob got the victory because he said, I'm not letting you go till you bless me, man. And that's when Jacob's name was changed to Israel. He Prince Power, man. Yasharallah, man. He's the Prince of the Power, man. All right. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10 and verse 13. When the righteous was sold, she forsook him not, but delivered him from sin when she went down with him into the pit, and left him not in bonds till she brought him into the scepter of the kingdom and power against those that oppressed him. As for them that accused him, she showed them to be liars and gave him perpetual glory, man. Now, this is going into the account of Joseph, man. And you can read about this in Genesis 37, I believe. Yep, Genesis 37, right? Because, because of Joseph's dreams, his brother started envying him and sold him into captivity, man. But, wisdom didn't forsake him, right? Wisdom of Solomon chapter 10, verse 13. When the righteous was sold, she forsook him not, but delivered him from sin and went down with him into the pit and left him not in bonds till she brought him the scepter of the kingdom and power against those that oppressed him. As for them that had accused him, she showed them to be liars and gave him perpetual glory. All right, perpetual glory, because we're still talking about that account till this day, man. You got to think about all the countless number of souls that lived and died and are forgotten about, man. All right, but, through the spirit of power, Yahweh Shem Yahshai and his words, man, because his words will last forever. So once you're written in that book, your testimony and your name is really lived on forever too, man. And that's another form of immortality, man. Because Esau Edom runs the world now, but there will be a time soon, real soon, where they will be completely forgotten about, man. Right? Lord willing, part of that number, we get written into the book of remembrance. But Esau Edom is already forgotten about. All right? Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 16. She entered into the soul of the servant of the Lord and withstood dreadful kings and wonders and signs. Another jump, man. This is talking about Moses now. Rendered to the righteous a reward of their labors and guided them in a marvelous way, and was unto them for a cover by day and a light of stars in the night season. All right? Just talking about Moses and the Exodus, man. The first Exodus, right? Because another Exodus is coming, man. All right, verse 18. Brought them through the Red Sea and led them through much water. But she drowned their enemies and cast them up out of the bottom of the deep. Therefore, the righteous spoiled the ungodly and praised thy holy name. All right? You can never forget about the name, man. Because Acts chapter 4 talks about there's only one name under heaven whereby we must be saved, man. So this is why we give glory unto the name. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, man. Yahweh Wa Yahweh Shai, man. All right? Wisdom Psalm 10 and 20. Therefore the righteous spoiled the ungodly and praised thy holy name, O Lord, and magnified with one accord thine hand that fought for them. For wisdom opened the mouth of the dumb and made the tongues of them that cannot speak eloquently, man. Eloquent, Salakia. All right? Let me get one more. I'm gonna wrap it up. Now this goes into Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 21. But this is Exodus chapter 4, starting at verse 10. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. Right? Moses, the Lord chose Moses even though Moses had a speech impediment. He chose Moses to speak to the children of Israel, man. All right? That's why Moses was suggesting Aaron do it, right? But no, the Lord chose Moses for a reason, man. Verse 11, and the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb or deaf or the seeing or the blind? Have not I the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be thy mouth, and teach thee what thou should say. All right? And he said, this is basically, the Lord's going to put the words in our mouth, man. All right? The Lord's going to give us a spirit to speak in these times, man. All right? The Lord uses the low of the earth to confound the wise, man. And that's a beautiful thing, man. It's easy for the Lord to take a Jay-Z or a LeBron and to put the spirit upon them and start teaching the truth. Because then masses of people will follow them. But no, the Lord takes the quote-unquote low of the earth, man. The lowly, man. All right? just like Scripture says, he that is exalted in poverty, how more riches. Roughly paraphrasing, man. But I'm gonna wrap it up with that. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. Again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone that rule well. And peace and salutations to the elect of Israel. Until next time, I want to say Shalom and Abad Babal.